Well, the weekend has come to an end, but we do not end things here. So, if you guys are big fans, of course, of the Japanese wrestling scene, such as Stardom in New Japan, well, you guys are always on the right channel. So, today, of course, we're going to be reviewing the much recent shows from Stardom. First, it's New Blood 30, of course, featuring the young talent and also from outside of Stardom. But the main event features the Future of Stardom Championship. Rana Yagami makes her first attempt defending it against Aya Sakura, who she nominated, which of course is going to be very interesting because these two ladies come from the same background in karate, of course. And the second one, they made their way to Sendai as we head to, of course, to what's it called, of course, the All Star Dream Queendom, which is going to be a big event. So we got preliminary matches involving that. So we'll be seeing that too. And of course, New Japan Pro Wrestling has begun the road to Sakura Genesis. As you probably can guess, the battle lines are now being drawn. Championships have already been set and all that coming up later on in the month of April. But we're going to have preliminary matches involving that. And then, of course, as always, we'll wrap up our episode, as usual, with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information is unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got through Nike Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us and click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or nice comments in the description down below. Now, enough with the jibber jabbers, so let's get started. So let's begin, of course, with Stardom New Blood 30. Okay, Stardom New Blood 30. Now, this event recently took place back on the 25th of March, of course. Now, it happened at the Shinkiba First Ring, a very popular venue in Tokyo. Not as good as like they did in Shinjuku Face, but anyway, that's the whole point. For those who are new, probably don't know what New Blood is. New Blood is where they showcase some of the younger talents that fall in two categories. Category number one are the ones who, of course, are below the ages of 21, like, of course, the Hanan sisters, Hanan, Rina, and Hina. They fall into that category because they started very young. And then the other categories are the ones that are above 21, who are, of course, wrestling still in their 20s, in their mid, or maybe longer, older, like Mina Shirakawa, they only have 3 years of experience. In those categories, it falls in. But that's how things roll from there. They showcase talent not only from just Stardom, but they bring in from other promotions like Sendai Girls, Marvelous, Seedling, Ice Ribbon, anywhere where, of course, some of the younger talents are showcasing themselves. They're always welcome to showcase in Stardom. So, in case, but however, two championships are involved in this type of show. One is, of course, is the Future of Stardom, which, of course, is our main event, and then there's the New Blood tag team belts currently in the possession of Sakurada, consisted of members of Cosmic Angels Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurara. So basically, that's the background for those who are new to this channel, are not familiarized with this show. They do happen like every few months or so, depending on how much they can get done. Now, our very first match, we have, of course, interesting matchup. We have Emma Maishima, who recently just returned after injury. She teams up with Ane Kanaya and, of course, another wrestler who was out at injury, Matoi Hamabe. They take on, of course, the members of Stars, consisting of Yuri Him, Saya Ida, and, of course, Hana. Now, obviously, we know that tag team cohesion has always been a key factor in some matches like these. But obviously, to me, just looking at this match, Stars were definitely going to pick up the win on this one, regardless, because they've already established themselves as a very strong team. However, when it comes to girls like Maishima, Kanaya, and Hamabe, we know that they are very talented. We know that they're building up their own wrestling craft. But unfortunately, we know that one of them was going to end up losing, and that person ended up being Hamabe, with, of course, Hanan applying the Hanan special, which is, of course, the version of the cutie special that Mizuki always uses. She picked up the win. However, we did have a post-match promo. Hanan was talking about the upcoming Rookie of the Year tournament, which happens every single time. Even the president of Stardom, Taru Okada, even confirmed it. Several girls who were involved. Of course, we know that out of nowhere, we know that Yuri Him, Maishima, Kanaya, and Hamabe were going to be involved in this because they each had a promo. But they were also joined by others, such as, of course, Furuzawa and Kurugani. So obviously, these ladies are determined to, of course, to pick up to win the tournament. So that's something that's very, very familiarized. Now, our next match, we have the Hito sisters from Ice Ribbon, Moi and Mase. These two ladies have appeared in Stardom before twice recently. The last time we saw them, they challenged for the New Blood Tag Team belts, but eventually lost. But they're facing a very interesting team, which later they will be facing each other for the highest speed belt. We're talking about Rianne and Yuna Mizumori. Now, if you guys have been watching recently on their social media, well, Yuri Him has been acting like she's 12 years old. If you guys don't know what I'm referring to, well, she's been stomping on Yuna Mizumori's foot recently, thinking that's high speed. And of course, she even did that to the Hito sisters themselves too. And then, of course, she, like I said, Rihanna is acting like she's 12 years old, and that's the whole thing. But of course, it was in fact Yuri Him to pick up the win by applying a pinfall onto Moi Hito, and just like that, it was over. But however, the post-match, well, I knew this was going to happen. Once again, 12-year-old Rianne stomped on Mizumori's foot, So, I don't know how long she can handle that. Now, our next match, we have Godzai, consistent of Kiyoka, Kotatsu, and Hina. They take on Ichika Miyabi from PPP Tokyo, and of course, the former New Blood Tag Team Champion and a Future of Stardom Champion, Hanako. Eventually, as you all know, they have a well-experienced team. But however, of course, when it comes to Hanako, we know what she's capable of. We know she's strong. She can apply the JP coaster that she inherited from Himeka, and not to mention using that submission move that she learned from none other than Shinsuke Nakamura. But she used that move eventually, but she used it for another type of purpose. But with that, it led into a pinfall on Kotatsu, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Miyabi and Hanako picked up the win. Our next match, we have Kyoko Furuzawa and Akira Kurigani. They team up. They take on, of course, a very interesting tag team that they have been teamed up for quite some time. And I'm talking about, of course, Fukigen Death and Saki Kashima. Now, probably some of you are probably questioning me, what is that special about that? Simple, guys. If you're not familiarized, Fukigen Death and Saki Kashima used to be part of Oedo Tai until, of course, Kashima was kicked out, and then Oedo Tai the name was dissolved and rebranded itself into known as Hate, and that sets it up out there. But of course, this match ended with the Kishikase by Kashima onto Furuzawa, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, a very interesting development. Now remember, not too long ago, I did mention that Saki Kashima announced her retirement that will happen in the upcoming event on April. And later it turns out that what's going on, Fukigen Death wants to be Saki Kashima's last opponent. So that's kind of interesting. I mean, you may not understand what she's saying, but it seems that's what is going on. But we'll see if that happens. Now, our main event is the Future of Stardom Championship. Aya Sakura taking on Rana Yagami. These two ladies do have, of course, the same kind of striking capability. You know, doing those front kicks that, you know, they'll hit you hard. And I think that was a very impressive matchup. But however, Rana Yagami was able to make the first defense by applying the Beat Buster, which is her signature move, onto Sakura. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. And then, of course, we had the post-match promo. Now, I don't know exactly what Yagami said to Sakura, but Sakura took the mic, but she said no words and just walked off. Like, she was very disappointed. But the shocking moment is what Rana Yagami did next. She nominated Honoka from Wave as her next opponent. So I'm sure that match will happen. I'm sure Honoka will love nothing more to challenge for that belt, but we'll see what happens. But as of right now, we're done with Stardom's New Blood. Let's move on to the next show, which was, of course, in Sendai. So let's get to it. Okay, we continue again with Stardom in Sendai. This happened on the 28th of March, of course, and it was at the Yumi Messi Miyagi West Hall in Sendai, in case anybody asks. Our first match, we have an interesting 8-woman tag match. We have Emma Maishima, Hanako, Maika, and Mei Sira. Now, have you noticed that some of the members here, former members of what used to be EXV, Mei Sira, a member of Neo Genesis, and Emma Maishima, who recently just came back, unaffiliated with any faction. Well, that sets it up right there. Their opponents are none other than Matoi Hamabe, and she teams up with the ladies from Stars, consistent of Yuta Ham, Momokoko, and Saya Ida. Now, obviously, you probably can tell that each of the members each side has a rookie in their miss, and that sets it up right there. But it was a pretty good match, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, we know the striking capabilities of course, Hanako and Maika. I mean, they used to be a tag team, of course, but they are doing pretty good. But in the end, it was Maika that picked up the win on Hamabe, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Next we have a bit of a God's Eye showdown. We have, of course, Rana Yagami teaming up with Tomoka Inaba, who obviously they have teamed up a lot, and not to mention they've teamed up during the tag league in Stardom. They're teaming up with a team. Well, let's just say that Kashima is not a big fan of her. She'd rather use her as a maid or whatever. Lady C. So it's Lady C and Saki Kashima. Now, of course, Lady C did everything humanly possible to try to please Kashima in every way possible, but that doesn't work out. But of course, you would have assumed that Kashima would have been able to pick up the win due to the fact of her sneakishness. But I'm sure that Inaba and Yagami knows exactly how she operates. I mean, come on. they teamed up with her a bunch of times. They know exactly the kind of tricks she would do. And Yagami was able to pick up the win onto Kashima. And then we did see a post-match promo where Yagami had some words to say to Kashima. I'm sure it's devastating for Yagami to hear that Kashima's leaving, knowing that she's retiring. And it's saddened to her because I'm sure she knows that she is not in the same kind of style that she's in with her, but she respects her a lot no matter what. And I think Kashima is touched by her, regardless of who Kashima is. And I think Kashima's touched by Yagami's earning her respect. Now, our next match, we have Waka Tsukiyama and Xena, of course, formerly of EXV. They team up with another member of Neo Genesis, Miyu Amasaki, and they faces off against Mi Vida Loca, consisting of Akira Kurigani and Izuki Aoki, along with Suzuki. Obviously, we know that recently Mi Vida Loca were involved in the dismantlement of course, EXV. But I'm sure that things were the same. I mean, we know their strength and weakness. We know that Waka uses the hip attack in order to do so. Xena has some incredible strength. Miyu Amasaki, she's a very talented girl. But you look at team like, of course, Akira Kurigani, who is making her name for herself. Yuki Aoki, well, we know exactly what she is. And Zuzu is a very dangerous wrestler, But in the end, it was, of course, Aoki that picked up the win by pinning Xena. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was done. Now, our next match, we have, of course, Rian teaming up with CML's very own Tabitha. They take on Ane Kanaya and Yuna Mizumori. Now, obviously, we know that Ane Kanaya and Yuna Mizumori have teamed up on a few occasions. And, of course, Yuna Mizumori is teaching her to be under her wing, But, of course, you can treat this as a preliminary match due to the fact that Rian has issued a challenge for the high-speed belt. And, of course, you probably would have assumed that Rian was going to use her usual stomping technique, as always. And that's exactly what she attempted to do. But, of course, Rian was able to pick up the win, getting the momentum on this when she pinned Kanaya with the bridge, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. But of course, during the post-match, Rian had some things to say to Mizumori, but however, we did not see that usual stomp that we often see, but that's how things end right there. Now, our next match, we have Hyoko Furuzawa and Maki Ito, part of the Ito Respect Gundam. Of course, that's what they call themselves. They team up with Azuki. They take on God's Eye, consisting of Hina, Amisori, and Shuri. So obviously, we know exactly the factors here is the cohesion has always been played out very, very well. I mean, we know that Furuzawa and Maki Ito are in the same link, but when it comes to Azuki, who is the odd one in the team, is where things are being questioned. But we know that God's Eye do have good cohesion. I mean, Hina, former future champion, Amisori, tag champion, Shuri, well, I can say she has done it all, of course. And that sets it up right there. But in the end, it was Amisuri with the Blue Thunder Bomb onto Furuzawa, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, our next match, we have a very interesting 12-woman tag team match. The Cosmic Angels, consistent of Sayaka Kurara, Aya Sakura, Sayuri Ano, and Natsupoi. They team up with the ladies from Stars, consistent of Bea Priestley and Hanan, taking on Hate, consistent of Fukigen Death, Rina, Raka, Natsuko Tora, Konami, and of course Sayakami Tani. Now this one has two preliminaries that are involved in this. If you guys remember, Hanan has won this year's Cinderella tournament. She's aiming for the white belt, and of course Konami ruined her celebration. And as for the other one is Sayaka Kurara is issued the challenge for the red belt, but she put the Cosmic Angels' existence in, of course, on the line. So that kind of sets it up right there. But the one thing that, of course, is very interesting is how this was going to turn out. We know how it operates. They use dirty tactics to pick up the wins. I mean, they use distractions, they use weapons, they even have their seconds get interfered. That's the kind of thing that we often say. But however, we did see a misfired by B. Priestley that she attempted to knock out Konami, but in fact she got Hanan, which was a huge mistake. But this allowed for, of course, for Konami to use the buzzsaw kick onto Hanan, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Now, of course, we saw the usual post-match promo. Konami, of course, smirking with the fact on how this went, and of course, that's the one thing we know exactly. And Kamitani is telling, of course, Kurara how she's going to regret her decision, because the problem is she feels like, I don't need to face you again, but you forced it on me. But we'll talk more about that in a discussion video soon enough. But right now we are done with Stardom at the moment. Let's move on with our last and final review, and that is, of course, New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay. New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now we're on the road to Sakura Genesis. As you probably know, I already knew who won, of course, the New Japan Cup, Kyle Newman, and he already staked his claim, the challenge for that next month. So that's something I am fully aware, and this is the day one of the show that took place on the 28th of course, of March. It took place at the Lily Arena in Mitu, Abariki. Hopefully I pronounced it right. If not, there we go. But anyway, we opened up, of course, with Young Lions action. We have Tatsuya Matsumoto versus Masatora Yasuda. Obviously, we know when it comes to watching the Young Lions, obviously, either this match will end in a time limit draw or someone will get their win. Now, we know that they are still on the learning curve, as you probably know. Obviously, they're limited to what they can use. And obviously, I knew that someone is going to end up on the Boston Crab, and it turned out to be Matsumoto. So basically, Yasuda picked up a good victory. Not the best or greatest, but a good victory for himself. Now, our next match, we have the other young lion, who I believe this could be the newest guy, Taisi Nakahara, taking on, of course, Time Splitter himself, Kushida. Now, obviously, Kushida was going to win this one because we often see when it comes to a young lion facing a veteran like Kushida himself, obviously he was going to pick up the win, and that's exactly what he did. He applied an armbar. Nakahara had no choice but to tap out. Excuse me. Now, anyway, our next match, we had Ryusuke Taguchi teaming up with GBH, Great Bash Heel, Tomoaki Hamna, and Togi Makabe. Well, they take on a team that is a very interesting one, El Desperado and Taichi and Yuya Uemura. Obviously, we know that El Desperado and Taichi were once members of what used to be Suzuki-gun, and as for Taichi and Yuya Uemura, what used to be four guys until Doiki turned his back on them. But it was a good team up, I'm not going to lie. I mean, it feels great to see all three of them together like they're getting. But the one person who suffered the most was Taguchi. As you all know, that everybody takes a fair advantage on his behind. Yeah, basically, Taichi took matters in his own hands, handing him over to that. But in the end, of course, it was Yuya Uemura with the high fly flow or something onto Hamna, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. Next up, we have Toru Yano, Master Wato, Aaron Wolf, and Yo taking on the House of Losers, consisting of Yoshinobu Kanemaru, Sho, Don Fale, and Doiki. Now, obviously, for those who do know, this is a preliminary match between Doiki and Yo. Yo, as you know, has declared himself as the next challenger for for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. Obviously, Doki would do whatever it takes to hurt him badly to ensure that he walks away with the win. However, of course, I'm sure Yo knows exactly how things were gonna be because he's not that stupid. Of course, we all know how these losers operate. They'll do try to soften up their opponents outside the ring. They'll use weapons and all that. But one thing that was interesting, Yano tried to use the corner of the ring, of the side of the ring, in order to remove the safety of it, but the ref keeps getting involved. But while Yano was taking care of that, well, Yoshinobu Kanemaru tried to take advantage of it by using the whiskey, attempting to use the whiskey miss, but however, Yano used that against him, of course, by throwing the ref back at him, and then when the ref didn't look, well, as Chris Carlton would say, what happened? My monitor just went out, Hey, do you know what happened? I didn't see it. So that's what happened. So basically, Yano actually rolled him up, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. Now, I'm sure Doki is not happy with the result. He probably would want to destroy Yo before their match, but we'll see what that leads us from there. Now, we got the other losers, of course. Dick Togo, Yujiro Takahashi, Chase Owens, and Ren Narita. They take on the combined forces of Bishiman, Yoshihashi Hiroki Goto, Bolton Oleg, of course, and Shota Umino. Now, obviously, we all know that Yoshihashi Hiroki Goto and Bolton Oleg are, of course, our current never openweight champions, while Bolton Oleg is the current New Japan Strong Openweight Champion. And as for Shota Umino, well, he's trying to get himself back on track. However, we did see the usual tactics with the House of Losers when it comes to distracting refs, using referees, taking the fight outside the ring, that sort of thing. But it was Shota Umino with the STF onto Dick, and Dick had no choice but to tap out. Now, our next match, we have TMDK consisting of Hartley Jackson, Rohei Oiwa, and of course the frontman, Zack Sabre Jr., taking on Unbound, consistent of Geto and the Knockout Brothers, Oscar and Yuto Ice, who are our current IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. Now, obviously, Zack Sabre Jr. and Rohei Oiwa probably will have another opportunity to have these belts, and that's something I'm sure that they want. They want to have a shot of this, but however, they had to go through this match first. But in the end, it was Geto who ended up on the wrong side of a submission by Rohei Oiwa, and just like that, he tapped out. But of course, we did see a face-to-face confrontation with the Knockout Brothers right across against Oiwa and Zack Sabre Jr., so you probably can guess how this is going to turn out. Now, our main event is a preliminary match, of course, the United Empire, consisting of Zane J, still complaining that he is not a young lion, even though he still is. Jacob Austin Young, Francesco Cara, Jake Lee, and Cal Newman. However, they face against the Unbound, which is their main rivals now. They face Daiki Nagai, Robbie X, Taiji Shimori, who these two are the current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions, which of course Jacob Austin Young and Francesco Cara want to attain them because they believe they earned it more than Robbie and Taiji. But however, they're joined with Shingo Takagi and our double champion Yota Tsuji, who is the IWGP Global Heavyweight Champion and the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. However, Yota Tsuji will be facing Newman as well. So you can guess how this was going to be. It was going to be a major slobber knocker in this match. But, however, in the end, it was the Gene Blaster by Yota Tsuji to put away Zane J, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, of course, all hell broke loose when the United Empire decided to try to beat up the Unbound in any way possible. But Yota Tsuji is not going to let someone like Cal Newman to take away the belt that he worked so hard for. But we'll see what happens towards the end. So stay tuned for the Sakura Genesis show. As of right now, we are done with our reviews. Let's move on with some news updates. Okay, welcome to our news updates. So let's begin with upcoming events. Starting with GCW, we have 2 updates on that. Now, as you know, we got the Las Vegas show, MDK Fight Club, that'll happen on 16th of April. They just announced that we have Rina Yamashita versus Charlie Evans versus Vipers. So that's pretty much the event for that. And of course, as you know, we got the St. Louis show on the 6th of May. Gateway to the Death. They announced that the Duke of Hardcore, John Wayne Murdoch, will be in action to take on a member of the Vandal 8, which is Christian Napier. Now, recently, as you know, Rose Pro Wrestling, which is the all-women's promotion that is part of the division of Pro Wrestling Zero, they just announced an event that will happen in Chiba, the 2AW arena, which is from the promotion itself. And this will happen on the 11th of April. We're not that far off from that day, and this is exactly what is going on. Let me read the match that they have announced. The matches that they have announced. I did not put them in my notes because I didn't want to waste time in writing it, but let me put it up here. Okay. Okay, we have Chanyota of the PPP Tokyo will take on 2AW's very own Yuka Ayazuki. We have a tag match. We have Mei Shruga and Miya Tsuba of Choco Pro Wrestling. They take on Nanasi and Roko Sakimura. Then I think we do have a match that had been announced. I think I might have mentioned that. We have Yuki Mashiro and Veni versus Hiromi Matsumoto and Kaho Kobayashi. Koko versus Tabitha, and then Hiro Konomi versus Miku Kane. So I think that's a previous one that has been announced. But yes, Ladies Night Out 16, which will take place on the 16th of April in Las Vegas. They just announced La Rosa Negra will be participating. As you know, another Las Vegas show on the 17th of April by Canadian promotion Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling with Multiverse. They just announced Mascara Dorada will be there. And also Spark Yoshi Puroresu of America has announced for their Lady Luck 2 event on the 19th of April a very special ring announcer, and I did not anticipate it was going to happen. We have Sayuri Namba. So basically, she's going to be extremely busy throughout this entire Las Vegas show. As you all know, she is confirmed for the Tokyo Pro Wrestling. Now she's going to be participating in this event. So if any fans out there, well, you're going to get a special treat out there. Now on to some developments. Mostly coming from Fightful Select, of course. WWE ID has announced that there will be more names, mostly coming from males, to be announced to be implemented into the WWE ID prospect program. So we don't know who they are. As you know, recently we talked about the women, so it looks like men will be also announced. Kyle Fletcher, they said that he was injured at the Collision event that took place recently. Well, according to what they're saying, that he's in good spirits. Seems like things are going well, but we'll see. Minoru Suzuki, of course, he announced that he'll be participating in Las Vegas between the 17th and the 19th. Now, he never specified if he's involved in the events, but I'm sure that he is. I'm trying to remember which one, but yes. So he's letting fans know where he's going to be at, that he's going to be there. Fightful Select reports that Ricky Sosa, many of you know, who is a very well popular wrestler based out of Europe. Well, he's officially signed with TNA, but however, he is expected to participate in many independents in Europe. So there's that. Like, for example, WXW and Cow. I think that's the name of the promotion. I don't even know where that is, but yes. Now, very interesting X comment. Many of you guys seen the Giant Panda in Tokyo Pro Wrestling, mostly from Japan. Well, Mercedes kind of commented on this, saying that she would like to wrestle a Giant Panda. Well, Tokyo Pro Wrestling, make it happen, please. I think many of us would like to see her face a Giant Panda. So, just put it out there. So, that's pretty much it. it for our news updates, so let's call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, I mentioned I will be doing another special episode involving the last four shows from the other Yoshi promotion, Mighty Gold, so I'll be doing that. So I will be doing more of the special episodes more often. Try to catch up what I can, see how things will go from there. I'm considering, of course, doing right away the Tokyo Pro Wrestling events that took place in Texas recently this month. The 2 days show in Austin, Dallas, and of course um, Houston. So I might do that. And Tokyo Pro Wrestling just recently had their latest show, Grand Princess. I don't know when I'll be watching it, but it will be on the bucket list in case anybody asks. There will be more, like I said, there will be more special episodes, mostly coming from the Yoshi wrestling scene, but we'll see. Coming up for our next episode, I'm thinking about putting all of the much recent Choco Pro events that I might have missed out, so we'll see how that goes from there. We will resume reviewing, of course, NXT, AEW, Dynamite, TNA, Ring of Honor, and pretty much whatever shows up. So things will be going well back on track, so stay tuned for more. There is also more developments revolving, of course, Suri on talking about Chi Chi's recent departure. She gives her explanation on that. I might do that on a separate DWZ news update episode. But also more names are being added for the upcoming WrestleCon, so stay tuned for that too. So I might do those two on a separate news update to keep that separate for everybody, so we can keep up with all of that. So we'll see how things go. So until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, and have a nice day. Bang.